Imagine if we all had the same morals. What would the world be like? Would there be no violence and fighting? Everyone would agree on everything. But the thing is, we don't have the same morals. We all have different views on what we think is right and wrong, just like we have different views on civil disobedience. I think civil disobedience is a morally acceptable way to create change. Civil disobedience is acceptable as long as it is nonviolent. It also affects the government. When using violence, it creates harm. In some cases, when people are trying to make changes, it leads them to breaking the law or going against it, which is civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is acceptable as long as it's in a nonviolent way and no one gets harmed. As Henry David Thoreau said in his excerpts from Civil Disobedience speech, "I have paid no poll tax for 6 years. I was put in jail once on this account." He didn't think it was right to pay taxes, so he went against the government and never paid them. He never hurt anyone but himself. Another person to fight for what they believe in without violence was Martin Luther King Jr. He was a victim of racism and he had many followers. He told his followers, "Go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South California, go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair." Margaret Chase Smith sent the Declaration of Conscience to the president, telling him what he should change and how to make the government better. This leads into how the government is affected by civil disobedience. The government thinks that they are always right, and we should all think the same way. So when people go against the government and fight for what they believe in, the government feels as if they have no power. The people who fight against the government usually get thrown in jail because the government wants to make a point by saying they still have the power. The government also wants us all to have the same morals as they do. But if we all had the same morals, then there would be no use for the government. Government needs civil disobedience because otherwise there would be no need for a government. When people do decide to use violence to make a change, then it leads to no good. It causes innocent people to get hurt. Malcolm X said in his debate at Oxford College, "Then I say those people are justified to resort to any means necessary to bring about justice where the government can't find them justice." He is promoting violence, and all that will do is cause fights and riots. We also resort to riots in order to make a change or a point. But when people are rioting, it just loses credibility for the cause. These are some points on why I think civil disobedience is a morally acceptable way to create change. Just think about it. If it weren't for Margaret Chase Smith, the Declaration of Independence, Martin Luther King Jr., and others going against the government, then the world would be completely different. So just one person fighting for what they believe in can make a difference in society.